Hello there everyone and welcome to another episode of PSHE4You. This month we're going to be looking at physical activity and mental health, and you're joined by myself, Paul.
Hi, and I'm Nikki from Health and Wellbeing in Schools.
And Caroline from Public Protection Partnership.
To help us out on this month's podcast, we're joined by a very special guest. I'd like you to introduce yourself now.
Hi there, I'm Joanna and I work for Sport in Mind.
So let's talk about physical activity and mental health.
Hi Joanna, it's Nikki. So I'm really wondering, how does physical activity help with my mental health?
That's a great question, Nikki. I think there are three main ways actually. The first being that when you do physical activity, you generally make your body a bit tireder, and that then generally helps us sleep. And if people are better able to sleep, then they usually feel better during the day. They usually are less tired. And that has an impact on their emotions as well. So if we sleep better because we've been moving more, then that generally helps with our mood and also our mental health. So I think that's the biggest one for me, and sometimes one that people don't think about quite so much. I think another one about physical activity helping with mental health is that when we do physical activity, we release something in our bodies called endorphins. These are feel-good hormones that make us feel better. And subsequently give us more energy. So by doing more physical activity, we can have a positive effect on our mood. It actually helps us feel a bit happier. And I think linked to that, the third reason why being physically active helps with mental health so much is that when we're busy being physically active or doing sport, it means that we're not really thinking about much else. So any intrusive or racing thoughts that might pop into our heads, any thoughts about being anxious or any feelings of stress, when we're doing something physical, again, these endorphins are released in our bodies, which help us manage stress, and they just focus us on doing something else. So by being physically active, you're giving your brain something else to focus on. And that is a really positive coping strategy for any difficult time, whether it's a long-term thing or a short-term thing.
Thank you, Joanna. Caroline here. Do team sports help mental health?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, team sports can really help with mental health, especially if your mental health is affected by perhaps being lonely or being isolated, something that I'm sure a lot of people have experienced in the past couple of years. For example, though, if you're new to an area, if you've moved or if you're joining a new school, that can actually cause some feelings of stress and anxiety and can, sometimes make you feel a little bit isolated and a bit lonely. So joining a local sports club can be a way to not only make new friends, but also feel like you're part of the community and that you actually belong. And that definitely has a positive impact on your mental health. Win-win. You make new friends and you're keeping fit at the same time. It's a bit of a 2-for-1 deal.
That's great. That's absolutely great. But if you're someone that maybe doesn't like, PE lessons at school, or have never really found a team sport that you're into, how can you keep physically active?
That's a really good question. And I think that's something that when people say, oh, you need to be really physically active, we sometimes forget about those of us who don't particularly like sport, for example. So I think the most important thing to do is to find something that works well for you. And that will be something that you enjoy so that you keep doing it. And that can be anything from individual sports to just getting outside and going for a walk, maybe with a friend, maybe with a dog. You might want to take up jogging, do something like gardening. You might want to do something a bit more formal. The thing that popped into my head, which you can do by yourself, though you'd need special equipment, are things like archery. You could take yourself down to the local park and kick a football around. You could do so many different types of things. It's not necessarily about being part of a team or doing a formalised sport. It's just really about moving more and enjoying what you do.
Thank you. That's some great ideas there. So how could I find a local sports club?
Well, we have a wonderful thing called the internet, and so many local sports clubs put their information up online. So best thing to do is to start looking online. But if that doesn't work quite so well for you, perhaps talk to your PE staff at school. They'll be associated with loads of different local sports clubs. And if that doesn't work for you, you might even think about finding your own way through this and maybe setting up your own group. So you could get some friends together and do something as a group. You might get some family members together and maybe join in with something at your local park. It doesn't need to be expensive. It doesn't actually need to cost anything either. And what you can do is stay away from places like gyms and affiliated sports teams and just do something for yourself, either by yourself or with people who are local to you. So remember that exercise doesn't have to be really formal. It can be informal as well. Just getting out, doing something a little bit different, moving your body is incredibly important, not just for now, but for in the future too.
Joanna, thank you so much for all those brilliant ideas and ways that we can be physically active. So we're really fortunate in West Berkshire that we have Sport in Mind, a local charity. How do we find out more about Sport in Mind?
Well, the best place to go is to go to their brilliant website, because that has all of the information about every single local thing that they offer in the West Berkshire area and around. So go to sportinmind.org.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Joanna. It's been really great to have you on. You'll be able to find that link in the description of this video and also online as well. So I want to really encourage you this week, this month, this year, try and improve your mental health by seeing if you can move more, whether that is by joining a formal sports team or just finding some kind of physical activity that you really enjoy and it's something you can do every day or at least a few times a week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.